Okay, so.
Good evening, Lashana. You on?
Yes, I am. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. We are waiting.
Welcome back.
Thank you. We are waiting for Thomas to join.
Yes. Good evening, Brenda.
Hello, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good.
Good evening, Brenda.
Hi, Brian.
Lashana, can you reach out to Thomas? My phone is in op right now.
Yep, I'll do that now.
Thomas is now joining.
Okay, thank you. All right, are we ready?
Thomas, are you there? You are on mute, Thomas.
I'm sorry. Hey, evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, the time is 7:05 p.m. I am going to call this regular Board of Directors meeting to order. Brian, if you can do the roll call of officers, please.
Sure. Lashana Spencer, President.
Present.
Thomas McKeithen, the second treasurer.
Present.
Brian Creighton, Senior Secretary, present.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to the next item in our agenda, which is the approval of meeting minutes for July 6th. We are going to postpone that approval until the 17th of August to a time where the board can review the written meeting minutes.
Second.
The next item on. Oh, I didn't think we were voting on that. I was just.
Yeah, okay, we're good. Keep going. Let's go.
Okay.
Keep going.
The executive session update, we are going to couple that with another agenda item. Thomas will go over. There were two executive board sessions surrounding the ARC process. So we are going to have Thomas address that later in the agenda. So moving on to the next item would be the manager's report from our CAM, Ms. Wakefield.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here with you. It's been slightly quiet compared to how it used to be, which I guess is a good thing. And the things that we need to talk about most are later in the agenda. So I'll just run across a couple of completed items that we have and a couple of pending items. So the people noted that the sign was down at Yarnell and Bancroft, contacted the county to have that replaced. And just so everybody knows, things like signs being down and streetlights being out, those sort of things can be announced or submitted online by anyone to Charles County. So they're very responsive in getting out and taking care of things. So that was taken care of fairly quickly. They did have to come back and remove the old sign, but they did. So that's good. So I contacted Outdoor Creations. There are some, we've had all these torrential storms, and there's some people who've reported some trees in the conservation area that are concerning. So we're getting a couple of other landscape calls here as we get deeper into the summer. So we're dealing with those one by one. Outdoor Creations has a couple of proposals. One is to remove a stump and put a tree in that's been reported, but that's actually a homeowner tree. So I don't think the board is going to be doing that sort of removal and replacement at this time. So we're working through those, and they're generally covered in work orders if you ever want to look in and see. The fence repair, we know that's pending, and also the irrigation proposals are pending. Let's see. The closings have slowed way down. There's only been one closing since mid-June. I think that's a factor of, just the season as well as what's happening with the market. So really, that's all that I have that doesn't deal with the architecturals for my report. Do you have any questions for me?
I thought we settled the irrigation. Or was I supposed to? There was something I was supposed to do. And that's on me. I'm responsible. And so I will make sure LaShawna has that so she can send the entire package over there. Because we approved that on the 6th. But
Okay.
there was something that I was supposed to do, and that is to identify the source of funds. And I need to do that. So I take responsibility for that. I'm not putting that on anybody else but me. I didn't do it. So I will do that by tomorrow.
Okay.
So what was decided
So-
on the
so-
6th?
We were going with Spinner, Brian, right? We were going with Spinner. But I needed to identify the source of funds.
So when you say identify the source of funds, you're talking.
I need to identify, I need to identify the line item. That's what I need to do.
So this phase is just to evaluate
the-
the system.
Yep, it's to evaluate the system, and it's to install the controller. But what I need to decide is there enough on the operating? Am I going to do this as a repair, or am I going to do this as a just an operating expense? That's on me. But
Okay.
you
So what you're saying, what I'm hearing you saying, Thomas, is that you solely decide where the funds are coming from?
when we decided, when we took the vote,
Mhm.
I was supposed to send Shauna a note about where. That's what we were doing, because we were trying to decide if it was, we agreed that we were gonna spend up to $1,500 on it. And what I said is that was what we agreed upon is that if it fell below X, it was gonna come from the operating side, but if it was gonna come, and if it went above $1,000, it would come from the reserve, the repair reserve. And I did not send LaShawna the COA numbers, so she could send a note to Brenda to complete the
So-
package.
Can we back up a minute? I apologize. This was probably during the time I was getting back from my conference. Was I in this meeting when we voted on this?
Yes, ma'am, you was right there. Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
refresh my memory on what's going on?
So,
Because I don't remember the details. I
so,
don't remember selecting a company or anything.
so
So can you,
no, not no words. So we agreed to not go with, what the-
Montgomery.
Montgomery, thanks. We were going to Montgomery, and we were gonna go with Spinner. It's Spinner, right, Brian? We were gonna go with Spinner. We just, it was a cost factor, and they are able to pivot faster. And what I was supposed to do was to give you COA number so you could send a note to Brenda. That's what I was supposed to do.
so they're basically coming out
They're gonna come
to,
out to install the controller and to inspect the system. And we agreed that it would not, if it was more than, that we agreed that we would spend up to $1,500 around this.
so that's just to see what needs to
It's
be
just to
done
see
to
what
get the
needs,
system
you have to,
functioning, or
you
if
have
it
to,
can be functioning.
you have to install the controller and do this inspection concurrently. So you can determine, if there's additional pieces that you have to address, or issues that you have to address.
Okay,
Right, and the overall price was more efficient than
Yeah.
Montgomery had a higher per hour cost.
Right. Thanks, Brian. Yep. So I
so
will
this
get,
is troubleshooting, basically.
Troubleshooting.
in short, yep. So I'll
Okay.
get you, I'll get that done. That's on me.
Okay. Um, to, I apologize, Thomas and Brian, because Brenda asked if there were any more questions. I'm gonna skip ahead into the board actions a little bit, down to item F, because that is a question for Brenda, since we're in her, section. So the filing of the governing documents, we had some email correspondence about the governing documents, making sure that all of them were filed with the appropriate, agencies or entities. And I, I I thought I had found some, but you said that there were some other places that you needed to check. Did you ever determine if they were filed wherever they're supposed to be filed, to make sure that all of the governing documents are filed with the correct entities? Were you able to find them listed on the websites?
They are in the Maryland land records. The challenge with finding them is some of them were listed under Weatherburn, which is the name of the original developer. So that's the name that it was in. So when you're searching for it, you have to look in for that. To check and see if they are in the HOA depository at the county clerk's office would mean physically going to the county clerk's office and requesting those files, someone to physically pull them. You can't call and ask for them to check. You can't put in a written request. You have to go there. So no, that isn't something that's, on my list of things to do. I don't know if somebody wants to take that on as a task. Generally, when the attorney records the records or sends them into the state, they also send them into the county clerk. But as far as cross-checking that and going to the county clerk to see if they're there, no, that has not been done.
Okay, so can we get that done? Can Century take care of that? And did you find them on the website of the other place, the Maryland Land Records? Were you able to find them on the website?
Yeah, they're in the Maryland land records, and going down to Charles County to the HOA depository to go through and look up all those records would be quite a time-consuming thing that would need to be a special project for someone. So if if that's what the board wants, Century to go check it, we could assign one of our people to go down there, but that would be on a hourly basis.
Can we, Shauna, can we take this offline? I think I got a solution. And we'll get it sorted.
Well, I kind of want to have a plan forward because the problem was, I can't remember, I don't have your email in front of me, Brenda, but there was a problem with not having the governing documents filed properly. And that's how all of this got started. I can't remember what the original
No, it
issue
was,
was.
I'm sorry, it was that they were filed under Weatherburn. So at first we weren't finding them in the land records because we were searching in the wrong way. So then once we got the book and page numbers, then we were able to go back through and find them. So no, the things that we talked about all that long ago, no, all of those were found. They're in the records. All of that stuff is filed. If anything is missing, it's not something that's we've been able to pick up. It's possible with the copious records from all the years that there might be one small document missing, but I don't think so. Everything seems to be recorded properly and all the records are properly stamped.
Brenda, is it typical that when you have an association like this of this size that was managed by a developer, for a long time, that the records would be filed in the developer's name and not transferred once the transfer is effectuated into the name of the association, or how does that work?
It's how it's originally filed into the land records. So, once it's filed and in there, they don't go back and change it. It's all referenced. I mean, we can pull up the different records and look at it and see how it references Brentwood HOA. The only point that I'm making is that when I searched it by name, I wasn't finding it because it was listed differently.
Understood.
But it is there and it is Brentwood. It just searching by name. I wasn't searching for Weatherburn and I didn't find some of the things I was looking for, but I feel like that was a long time ago. Since then, we've been going through, checking all of the different documents, making sure that things were there from transition. And I've worked with Melinda on that and, everything appears to be there. There are a lot of records with an association your size, but I believe they've done their due diligence in turning everything over. And I think Century has done their due diligence in making sure that everything is cataloged properly. But like I said, it is a great deal of records, but everybody is confident that everything is there.
And we're supposed to effectuate a letter that certifies at some point, we're supposed to effectuate a letter correspondence back to the developer that articulates that the transfer was successful.
They were saying that we need to do that, but that's not some sort of routine thing that, associations at transition certify that all of the documents were there. That's something
that they just asked for.
They were asking for, but it's not something that, they hand over a pile of stuff and we hand them back a letter saying, thank you, that's everything.
Okay, so that was part of my concern.
Okay.
My first concern was making sure that all of the association's documents were filed properly with the correct entities to make sure that the association was covered and we weren't going to have any problems or liabilities. And then my second concern was that the developer was asking for this written confirmation that we had received all the documents. So that was the other part of my concern, just making sure we received everything from them in the transition. So since that's not typically done, I wasn't comfortable doing it in the first place, but since that's not typically done, I don't think that that's something that we will probably entertain. But it's still good to know and make sure that we have received all the documentation from the developer and everything is filed correctly. So according to what you're saying, we're good. It looks like Century has went through all the documents we're supposed to have, and it looks like we have everything. So are those stored on the portal for board access? Or I know certain documents are available to homeowners, such as like the bylaws and stuff like that, and are the other documents on the portal for board access only, or where are they kept?
So right now, because a lot of it are engineering plans and site plans and that sort of stuff. So right now it's in our server. It's not in the portal. I would have to ask about uploading something of that size. So I really haven't talked to our IT folks about that. We are about to migrate everything out of our server and up into the portal. So that may be just a matter of time before it is all there. I do know that we have the site plans for the new section that's being started, and we can't add those lots to our system until they filed the supplemental declaration. So Melinda was checking back with their attorneys to find out when that was going to be filed, because we're not adding the lots until that time.
And until the lots are officially added, they do not have those number of votes. I think it was 33 votes she said that they would have at that
Correct.
time.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Alright.
what I think I want to do, LaShawna, I think what would we do? I think we need to have two actions here. One is to make sure inventory. I mean, I don't think we need to vote on it, but I think Brenda, when we migrate to when the data is migrated from the server to the cloud, let's make sure we're engaged in talking with the IT team the same way we handled it for ARC, to make sure that those records are migrated, and the ones we want to make available to homeowners, we make those available to the homeowners, and those that we want to, keep for board, we keep those for board. And then that was the only one. I thought I was gonna say it in two, but it's only one.
Obi.
Okay, so that'll be, and we can talk about that
Yep.
later. But that'll be an ongoing
Agreed.
project with
Yep.
Century. Any other questions for Brenda and her manager's report?
No, Brenda, there's one on there about and if we need to take it offline, that's fine. There was one about a homeowner that we needed to write off that you put on there. Was that not included? It was an existing homeowner that we needed to write off that we did not include.
That was one that we had discussed before.
Yes.
So we can talk about that. Yeah, that's
Okay.
with an owner, so we shouldn't talk about it in the open
Agreed.
meeting.
Okay, got it. Nope, sounds good.
Okay. Thomas, any other questions for this portion? No. Brian?
None, thank you.
Okay, so I am going to move on to the board actions. Brenda, I'm not sure if you want to stick around or not, but I was trying to get your portion out of the way, so if you needed to leave, you could leave. But we're gonna go ahead and move into the board actions at this time.
Yeah, I want to be here for the architectural conversation.
Okay, sounds good. Yesterday I received text messages and emails from a lot of the homeowners saying that their trash was not picked up. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow also in our quarterly meeting for those who are not present tonight. I sent an email to Amber's to find out what had happened, and was told that they had a problem with one of their trucks, and so they could not finish the route. So I just wanted the homeowners to know that we did contact them. We did find out what happened. It wasn't that they missed homes, it's that they had a problem with the truck and they couldn't finish the route. They did come back out this morning. I'm not sure what time they came, but I did ask them in the future when they have issues like that to notify the board immediately, because we need to know how to instruct the homeowners on what to do. Because the problem with yesterday and them coming out this morning, she didn't email me to this morning and said, okay, well, they're going to be back out this morning. Well, that didn't give the board enough time to have the communications committee send something out in a timely manner to let homeowners know, you need to put your trash back out today if you took it from the curb. Because homeowners, people leave 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, they're not able to put the trash out. So that is something that the board has requested happen moving forward. So if there's ever an issue, they cannot finish their route, they can't come on a certain day, they are supposed to notify the board in a timely manner. And we will be able to communicate in a timely manner to the homeowners to make sure that your trash is getting picked up. So if you know anybody that had that problem, you can tell them that. We'll also address this tomorrow in the quarterly meeting to make sure that everyone knows.
And LaShawna, that's a contract, and what the homeowner should be aware that that's a contractual provision that's codified in the contract, that
Mhm.
they're to come the next day. So I want everybody to be aware that, and they did this before, so this may have been a codified in the contract that they're to do exactly what LaShawna articulated.
Yeah, so we weren't really happy with them yesterday, but we should not have this issue moving forward. So that's what happened. We apologize for the inconvenience, and we're making sure, we're trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. The next item on the agenda was the Q2 Association Financial Review and Update. I'm gonna turn that over
You want to
to
do the stormwater, and I can do all my stuff concurrently. If that,
I'm gonna get confused about what we went over. and what we didn't know. I'm tired. I done had a long day.
all right, same here. No worries. All right.
Okay.
So, whoever, Brian, LaShawna, one of you all, if you all will share your screen when I'm ready, I'm gonna make some general comments about our financial picture, and then we'll kind of dig in. We are not out of the woods yet. With respect to our delinquencies, it's definitely higher than we need it to be, than we want it to be. We have made all of the referrals that we can make at this time, because to the attorney, and the attorney is taking the appropriate actions. The delinquency rate is really high, and I'll talk about that in a second. The ones that are really delinquent that we cannot refer, those balances range between $50 and $459. Excuse me, $495. And therefore, because they are under the $500 threshold, we are precluded from referring those to the attorney. If those homeowners don't address the balances, particularly the ones that are close to the $500 number, by the time Q4 hits, by the time October hits, then the Century team will make the appropriate referrals. All right, who's going to share? LaShawna, Brian?
I'm trying to share. What would you like?
I want you to show the Q2 financials.
Okay.
And show that. We'll start with the balance sheet, the one that says
both of them have BOD only.
Right, but I'll tell you which tabs I want you to show. They both open at the balance sheet. So if you'll show the Q2 financials, I would appreciate it.
Yep.
The Q2, the balance sheet. Yep. And the reason that I'm asking Brian to share, I am visually impaired, and so I need to navigate, and so Brian's going to share for me, and I don't want so you all can be able to look at what I need to show.
All right, it is up.
All right, so thank you. All right, so as everyone is aware, we're looking at the balance sheet. The association has two. The association has two major, or three accounts. One is the operating checking account, one is the operating money market account, and the other is the operating the reserve account. All right, so as of June 30th, 2022, we ended the quarter with $123,058 and some change in our operating checking account, $7,250 in our money market checking account, and $90,100 in our reserve account. So let me kind of explain why there's money in our money market checking account. At the end of Q2, there was an error where we leveraged. It was an honest mistake where a bill was paid to do a repair or to repair an upgrade to our grounds. It was the final lime treatment. It was paid from operating expenses, and so I caught the error, and it was miscoded. It was. If you can go on mute for me, please. If you can go on mute for me, I would appreciate it. The accounting team put the money in the operating money account from the reserve. So that's why it's there, and it will stay there for a while, and then we will move it to the operating checking account. So in short, at the end of Q2, we ended the quarter with $130,000 in operating funds and $90,100 in reserve funds. Our accounts receivable is this is what we have to collect on. That's $50,000, a little bit over $50,000, and that's the delinquency as of at the end. Sir, if you go on mute for me, I would appreciate it. That is the amount of money that we're delinquent delinquencies from current homeowners and previous homeowners at the end of June 30th, 2022. And so, as you know, we have a allowance for doubtful accounts, and I think that's kind of that kind of speaks for itself. Our prepaid assets is one I want to talk about. So we typically prepay for it's usually the trash. The Ambers is due for their monthly service at the end of the month, and so we typically prepay in June for July, and so this is why this $17,000 is here. And that's the payment for June, and that's the payment for June and July. And then our accounts payable at the end of June, we had $4,900 at the end of June of accounts payable. And again, this comes from, as invoices come in, we book it on the accounts payable so we can pay the bills in July. I want to talk about the amount of money that we have in reserves. So the 2270 line is the repair reserve. And so at the beginning of the year, we had $109,000. And this is where we spent from for a lot of the repairs that you saw going on around the community.
Excuse me, Thomas, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Brian, can you scroll down?
You scroll down. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did I not tell? I'm sorry, Brian. That's all right.
It's okay. I just want to make sure.
All right.
So where are you at now?
I'm at 2270 repair and replacement reserves. And again, we began the year at $109,000 in our repair and replacement reserve. And this is the fund that we use to do a lot of the upgrades and a lot of repairs around the community. Okay.
Scroll up just a little bit, Brian.
2270, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. You good, LaShawna? You good?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
As you are aware, this year we created 2 new reserves. So the 2275 is our capital improvement reserve. And 2276 is our additional facilities reserves. And these are the two new reserves that the board created this year to address capital improvements and future future facilities. And so as you can see, at the end of June, we had $5,004 and then $6,005 in those reserves respectively. And so, as you know, we did a number of repairs around the community, from repairing sinkholes to bringing our turf pH balance up to where it needed to be, to dealing with some cutbacks around some trees. We did the front entrance enhancements. We did a number of things as a part of our maintenance blitz. And so we spent $30,300 this year on repair, on just kind of bringing the community back to a state of repair that we felt it needed to be at. We have one more effort that we have to undertake this year to address the risk, and that's around the 15 fences. There are 14 ponds. We have 14 ponds, and we have the fence at the entrance. So it's that cost to repair those fences. We are looking at about 25,000 plus to address that issue. We're not going to patch. We're going to repair and put them back into good repair, and then so that we can bring it in a place where we can maintain. That's the balance sheet.
And Thomas, can you remind the homeowners, please, where these can be found when you're posting?
Yeah, after tonight, I will post it in the homeowner section of the portal. There is a section for quarterly financial statements, and this is what we committed to. This is what we committed to sharing every quarter. And Brian, if you will highlight the operating equity side, I'm going to just kind of walk through this really quick. So we're going to talk about the prior year surplus of $66,000. As I've advised before, we used the $66,000 from FY20, which is a combination of FY20 and FY21. We used that to do service enhancements this year, which is how we were able to enhance what you see going on around the community from an operational standpoint. This prior year adjustment line, as I've stated before, there was an error where there was an overpayment to Amber's, so that's why you see this here. I want to talk about this current year surplus line. What it shows is, again, we're leveraging the surplus from FY22. Excuse me, we're leveraging the surplus from FY21 and FY21 of $66K. And so this is why you see this deficit of $27,000. Again, in the out years, as we go into FY 2023, we are not balancing the budget on surpluses and late fees and additional fees. The budget will be balanced based upon the assessment fee, and that's the way it should have always been done. But the prior years, it was, surpluses and late fees were factored into the budget. And that's not saying we will not collect late fees if homeowners are delinquent next year, but we will do that, but we're not going to use the late fees and surpluses to balance the budget. That's all I want to talk about for the balance sheet. I will show the revenue and expense report, and I'll just highlight a few things. Brian, that's the next tab down. So let me know when you're ready, sir.
I'm ready.
Okay, so what I want to talk about here is the income line, and so as you can see here, these are our income numbers for June. We brought in $26,500, and so So for where we should be year to date, we were we were over about like 200 and some dollars. And that's all I'm going to say about the income line. There's really nothing to really kind of talk about of import in the ground maintenance line, but I will make some general comments in the, Brian, if you go down to the administrative section, I'll put these out there for you, for all homeowners to view. But there are some budget pressures that I want people to be aware of. So as we go into 2022, I'm sorry, as we go into 2023, when we talk about these changes, it won't be any surprises.
Okay, it's there. It's at the administrative
Okay.
section.
Lashana, while I'm here, can you do me a favor and just make a note of water irrigation is line 6140, and that's where we're going to take it from there for the irrigation system. Take it from
140.
6140.
Okay.
So we budgeted for the irrigation in the budget for this year. Now that I'm looking at it, I can give Lashana what she needs to deal with the irrigation repair. So we'll take it from the operating side of the budget for the irrigation system, because there's sufficient money, revenue there for that. All right, so for the management fee, for the management administrative section, there are two places that I want people to be. There are two places that I want people to be aware of. In our postage line, there was an increase, or there has been an increase in the cost of postage. So when we do the 2023 budget, this line will need to increase a bit, not because of what we spent, but just on the overall cost of postage. Same thing for the printing and copying line. As you can see, we spent, and this is at the end of, as of the end of June, we spent roughly $4,600, and we budgeted 5,000, and we're halfway through the year. Now, what I want folks to understand is, anything we print, anything that's mailed, legal documents, notices, and the like, it comes out of this line. And so for a community of this size, this is the area where we're going to have to make some increases. So when we did the FY 2022 budget, this line was cut from 2021. So we're going to probably have to go back to the 2021 number when we release the next version of the budget. The other pressure or budget pressure that kind of gives me where we kind of need to talk about. Brian, if you will highlight the legal expense line. The legal expense line, line 8100, is the line that the board uses for legal consultation. We've had a number of legal consultations this year around delinquent accounts, around document filings, reviewing of contracts, and the like. And so, as you can see, we are very close. We're over actually in this area. And so, as we look at preparing for 2023, we probably will have, because of where we are in the financial position and some of the things that we have to do to recover and the like, and to receive advice from the attorney, this will be a budget category that will have to be increased. The other legal expense line is for collections, and it deals with if we have to pay filing fees to the courts or anything like that. So, as you know, the association has two attorneys. This is not of this board's doing, but it was here when we got here. So we have two attorneys. One is Michael Neal and Associates, and that's the primary attorney. And then there's 5 collection accounts at Community Association Legal Services. There are 5 collection accounts there. And so Community Association Legal Services, CALS, charges us when they do a filing, whereas Michael Neal and Associates recovers their money on the back end. And so we have to keep this line in place. for FY 2023. The other, I think that's the other thing I want to highlight. Hold on one second, Brian. If you go down to the replacement reserve lines, I want to show you 9170, Brian. 9170 is with every month we fund the repair and replacement reserve. We fund each of these reserves every month. So while we are spending from the repair reserve, we're also funding the repair and replacement reserve. And so we fund that every single month. And same thing in the facility additionals. If you highlight the total expenses, Brian, line 9180. I'm sorry, 9980, sir. So for the month of June, we spent $35,600. And if you look at this line going all the way across compared to where we should be, we are kind of under budget. Not much, roughly a little bit, about $976. And so again, and if you look down, you still see the budget, the same thing, budget deficit that you saw above. Now, let me explain this. If from an accounting perspective, and Brian, can you go back up to the top of this chart for me, please, and go down to and go up to the surplus line? I'll give you the number. 4161. If from an accounting perspective, we are not able to, every month, take this $66,000 and allocate it, as revenue coming in. But if we were able to allocate it as revenue coming in, you would not see a budget deficit down at the bottom. I just kind of want to make sure everybody's clear about that. I can't take the money and allocate it across, because we use accrual accounting. Take the $66,000 and divide it by 12, and then apply it to my monthly income, because that's not monthly income coming in. So I just want everybody to understand that. That's all I want to say about this one. Brian, if we would go to the Q2, the July, I'll kind of tell you where we are as of today. And I want to take some time with this, and I'm sorry it's taken us, but I want everybody to understand what our state of affairs really is.
Which tab would you like me to go to?
Go to the other spreadsheet, the July 2027.
All right, hold on.
Thank you, sir. The July 2022 financial. And we'll look at the balance sheet first.
Give me a second.
No problem, sir.
So we're looking at the July 2022.
That is correct, sir. I'll just make some general, let me know when you're ready. All right, you ready, Brian?
That should be it.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So thank you, sir. For where we are, what is our state of affairs today? Our state of affairs as of today, and I pulled this at 5 p.m. So, some money came in between now, between 5 when I pulled this and now, then it'll reflect in the morning. So where are we today? Our checking account, our operating funds, we have roughly $111,000 in operating funds and $92,300 in reserves. The allowance for doubtful accounts, so we did write off a significant amount for previous homeowners. we had to write off 20 for previous homeowners and who did not pay the association. So we wrote off, and this doubtful accounts number will increase as we go throughout the remainder of the year. But we wrote off $2,900, and it's showing, you know, roughly half of this. So here it's showing roughly $1,600 that, you know, of delinquent accounts. So as we go throughout the remainder of the year, this number will update. Again, so prepaid assets, we paid Ambers, and there's nothing else here that I'm really concerned about that would give anybody any heartburn. What gives me pause? So let's kind of talk about what gives us pause. And Bern, I'll tell you where I want you to go, because I want to make sure you don't show the. If you go to the very last tab, 1 second, let me look at it first. Yeah, if you'll go to the very last tab, Brian, please. Very last tab. And this is the grand total for our delinquencies.
What's the last tab called, Thomas?
Accounts receivable grand.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So we have total prepays, and it's a credit because, again, we use accrual accounting. We have total prepays of $73,750, give or take. Our delinquencies, this is current homeowners and prior homeowners, is $65,706. So of this, $1,500 in the $65,000 number, $1,500 is from prior homeowners, and the rest of it, $64,200 some odd dollars, is from current homeowners. What does that mean? That means that $17,000 is from people from right now. $17,000 is where we have current homeowners who have not remitted for Q1 nor Q2 and Q3. So that's $17,000 that we have to recover. The remainder of it, $44,900, are amounts that are overdue. They're either referred to the attorney, or they're not in a state of affairs to where we can make the referral to the attorney. So there's a number of accounts who have balances, as I mentioned previously, of $50 to $495 that we cannot refer to the attorney until it gets to $500. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you, if you've got a balance, please call Century at 410-721-7171 or email communitycare@centurymgt.com and get on a payment plan. Okay? This is where we are. This is what it is. Okay? That's all I'll say about the financial update. Shoshana, you want me to take questions while I'm here, or does anybody have any questions about what I just went over?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
If you we'll take a brief moment in the agenda. Normally we hold questions until the end. So if you have a question about the budget and the numbers that were just addressed. If you can raise your electronic hand. I don't see any
Okay.
hands. Brian, do
I'll
you
just-
see?
I'll just make one final comment. So because of where we are, when we prepare the FY 23 budget, this was a, thank you, Brian. Thank you so much, sir. When we look at the FY 2023 budget, one of the things that we're going to have to consider is look at where we are from a cash position. We're in Q3 now. Where are we? And we are going to have to decide if we want to continue with the quarterly apportionments. From a cash position right now, we've got $111,000 in operating cash. More than likely, our largest expenses is trash and landscaping. So to tell the truth and to be honest, we've got about 5 months of cash that we can pay our landscaping contractor and we can pay our trash vendor. That does not include the management fee. So I just want everybody to kind of know where we are. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the ARC email status. This is a question I had for you, Thomas. There are, oh, I don't remember. There's a lot of emails in the board email box that I had forwarded from the newly created email account. Have those been responded to, addressed? I'm just trying to find out the status on those homeowners that reached out.
No, Martha and I met on Monday and we've got a path forward. We're gonna sit on this coming Monday and deal with that issue and work with you and Brian, and we'll deal with the remaining outstanding applications so that we can kind of wrap this up before we go live with the ARC approval update.
Okay, so I'm going to leave those marked unread. I don't know if you saw, I have them labeled architectural review. And I'm gonna leave them unread in the inbox.
I'll
Because,
connect with you.
yeah, I just
I'll-
want to make sure nobody falls through the cracks, and I
Nope.
wasn't sure what the status was. Okay, so
Mm-mm.
I'll
I
just
will.
leave those there.
Thank you.
That's all that was.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
Okay, so along those lines, you said on Monday, this coming Monday is when you're gonna be reviewing the ones that are pending. Because we do get, we get multiple calls and emails a day asking for status. So is that what we should let people know, is that the ones that are pending are going to be reviewed next Monday?
Yes, I plan to review them on Monday, and then we'll send you a note and say, Brenda, this is what we did, and we will probably color code them like we did last time.
Okay,
And that way, and the goal is, let me just kind of, since I'm here, the goal is that by the time we go live with the new implementation, that the manual workaround, all those applications will be reviewed and dispositioned accordingly. And so that we are just bringing in net new applications.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I had on that item.
So can we go to D since I'm here?
Yeah, that's what I was
All
going
right,
to say. I
cool.
thought you were going to keep going.
No,
but
I'm going.
yeah,
I got
go
you.
ahead to the next agenda item.
So we work with the Century team is rolling out a new implementation for the architectural tool. We had to go manual for a little while due to some security architecture issues around security with the form. And so we're going through a new implementation. We had the technical brief on the 15th of July. We are beta testing right now. And so by end of day tomorrow, the board and I and the architectural team will submit a set of enhancements or defects to Century. to work over the next 3 days, and we will meet with the Century team on the 27th to determine if we're going to go live or not. The goal is to ensure that when we go live this time, that we don't have any hiccups, we don't have any major issues with workflow, with security, with documentation, and the like. And so we're going to do this as a team approach. The board, the architectural committee, and the Century team will all determine together if we're ready to go live. If we're not ready to go live, we will stay in beta until it gets fixed, until the issues get resolved to our satisfaction. That's the plan. If we decide to go live, the plan is that on Friday the 29th, we will update your home portal. We'll update your home portal with a new link, and there will be a subsequent communication that goes out that says we've rolled out the new architectural form, and here's what it is, and here's what you need to do. In all probability, there's not going to be much changing to how you submit the form. We've tightened up the requirements in that you have to submit documentation for your respective projects. So that's what we're doing, and you have my personal commitment that we're not going to go back down again. I'm not going to release this if it's not ready. I'd rather stay manual until we get it right. And so that's what we've all committed to do. All right. So you'll hear from us. You can continue to submit your architectural application via the existing tool. And when we cut over, we'll send the email communication to all. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else needed from me, I'll drop off if that's okay.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
The next item on the agenda is the FY 2023 budget meeting and proposed timeline.
No, working me tonight. All right, let's go. All right, so what we need to do, colleagues, is we need to establish a timeline for completing the FY 2023 budget by the beginning of Q4. It's a little shorter than what I would like, but we want to do this in time so that Century can send out the appropriate payment coupons, load the budget. We close out FY 2022 without any major financial issues or accounting issues, and so we want to be ahead of the curve. And so, Brian, you got that email? You want to put it up?
Which email is that,
It's
Tom?
the huh?
Which
It's
one?
the hold on.
Is it the timeline?
Yes, the timeline. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, I missed that one.
You missed that one. I'm sorry.
When was that saying?
An hour ago.
Hour
Oh,
ago.
I was eating. That's why I missed it.
That's
Okay.
why. I'm sorry.
Give me a second here.
Okay.
All right.
So this is, well, I guess I'll see when it comes
All
up.
right.
So are we discussing the date for the budget meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. I gotta find it so I can talk to it. Give me a second. All right. So essentially what I did was to kind of back into, all right, I kind of backed into where we needed to be. So I took the existing steps that we already took, and we and just kind of backed us into it. All right, so I'll just kind of go through from point one. So point one was that we were going to develop the version one of the budget, and then we would have the the working sessions that we had in March and April, and that we released we did a community briefing on the 18th, and we released it on the 21st of May. So for version 2 of the budget, so we're gonna look at current expenditures and make sure that we upload, that we map the existing expenditures for for the period of June and July into the version 2 of the budget. We're working on the community survey, and I owe you all an updated draft for around this. So we've got the draft, but we need to refine it. So on August 17th, which is our board meeting, we will release version 2 of the FY23 of the 23 budget and release the survey concurrently. And so the version 2 of the budget won't factor in any survey results, just because of timing, right? So the period of August 17th through the end of the month, we assume that homeowners are going to submit the survey. That's your administration period. Now we go into September. September 1st through the 15th, the board will review the board would review the results of the survey and adjust the budget accordingly. September 15th through the 25th, we would pack, whatever we're going to send with the budget, to the proposed budget rather, to the homeowners, we would package that, develop that, and get that to Brenda so she can mail it out, or whatever's what's required, because we've got a 30-day window where we've got to get that disseminated. We have to get that disseminated. October 26th would be I'm recommending that be our budget meeting. That be our budget meeting, which would be October 26th, which will be the last Wednesday in October. That's when we would need to approve the existing budget, because you have to have a 30-day window from the time the homeowners receive the budget to the time you approve it. So that kind of gives us a 30-day window. Once the budget is approved, the management will send the assessment, assess the FY23 assessment notice and the payment vouchers, etc. And that's how I'm recommending that we proceed. We probably should add another one here about year-end close, in terms of how we handle year-end close, how we close the books, but that doesn't need to be on here.
Question, Thomas.
Yeah.
Very detailed, very laid out. It's laid out nicely. I don't see where the finance committee is directly or indirectly related to any of these action items.
They would be. So when we do version 2, I would sit down with Mike and deal with it. But if you want me to just add to make that more specific, happy to, because that was not the intent. When I say board, I mean everybody that needs to be involved. But I can, if you want the words to be tighter, to say board and appropriate committees or whatever. That's
I think for visibility sake, I would like to have that finance committee piece.
We'll put it in there. We'll put it in there. We'll put it in there.
I'm a little concerned. Let me go back. So I'm concerned about the timeline with releasing the second draft of the budget and the survey. So that is what?
August 17th.
August 17th. I'm concerned that may not be enough time.
You got a proposal?
And that's a lot of information for a homeowner.
Well, the survey will go. The budget will go out. The budget would go out. Here's the challenge, and I want to be clear about what the challenge is. Challenge is what we don't want to do is get into November and not have the budget approved. Right? So you don't have many choices. The the goal is we need to get this done by the end of October. And we have to mail, when I say you, I mean us, we have to get whatever we're gonna vote on during the budget meeting on the 26th of October, we have to get it in front of the homeowners 30 days before we approve it. So you kind of have to back yourself into it. The later you get in Q4, the more difficult it's going to be. You got holidays, you got all that.
No, I understand that. I think that that August 17th date may.
Give me a date. Give me a date, Shauna.
Okay.
Give me a
Let me
date.
look at the calendar. Hold on.
So you wanna
This is to release the second draft of the budget?
so we will release the second draft of the budget based on expenses for only thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add in. Only thing we're gonna do is add in the expense, update the expenses for June and July and August. I mean June and July. We wouldn't have August. And so what I'm saying is we got a meeting on the 17th. We would.
So when are you meeting? When are you meeting with Mr. Spencer?
I plan to meet with Mike either early next. Oh God, today is I plan to meet with Mike either early next week or the following week. I just didn't. If you want that line in here, I'll put it in here. But and so.
So I mean that I was kind of going through that in my head. It's going to be a process to get to that point. So I'm thinking we may need to push that back
To when?
until August 31st at the earliest.
I think you're making a big mistake, and I think you're making a big mistake. The longer you put, and I'm not trying to be difficult, Shauna. I'm not trying to be difficult at all. The longer you push it out, the more difficult it is going to be to get your budget loaded and to get the documentations in front of the homeowners in terms of what the budget is going to ultimately be, and get the coupons mailed and get people prepared to remit on January 1st. So what this does is, if we get everything in front of the homeowners 45 days out, by November 15th, everybody was going to know what the final assessment is going to be. Well, they'll know in October, in the end of September is what we committed to. But they'll have it and they'll be able to plan before they get closer and closer into the holidays. But if you want to release the budget, version 2 of the budget on August 31st, just know that you're tightening the timeline. I mean, I'll go along with it.
I mean, that's 90 days from November 1st. So
What, August 31st? No, Brian, that's 60 days, man. That's 60 days.
60 days, 60 days.
That's 60 days. I think the tighter you make this, the more difficult it's going to be to execute.
Well, I am just I'm
You-
trying to make sure that we have the appropriate amount of time to go through the budget and properly prepare it before we send it out to the homeowners, and make
So-
sure that all of us are comfortable with it before releasing it.
So let's push to the
And that
24th.
it's-
Push to the 24th. Let's do the survey on the 17th, which is when we meet, and release the budget on the 24th, which will be the following Wednesday.
Shauna, are you thinking that we should have a work session?
We can have a work session in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that'll be better if we have a work session.
All right. So I'll get that, and then so we're gonna leave the budget on the 17th, version 2 of the budget on the 17th. What are we doing?
I think that, we need to have a work session, with the board, the finance committee, and whoever else needs to be involved.
So what's that first
Uh,
Monday? What's the Monday before what's the 10th?
Of August
Yep. What's the
is a
10th?
Wednesday.
So let's do it on the 7th, the 8th, which is a Monday, but you like Wednesdays, right?
Um,
Are we talking about during the day?
No, in the evening. My days are jammed.
So that's Monday, August.
The 8th or the 10th.
The 8th is,
A Monday.
the 8th is a no-go for me, I believe.
yeah, that's what
Oh,
I,
you're
yeah.
gone.
He
You're
has
gone.
something on the calendar.
Check my calendar.
Yeah, you're gone, Brian.
Why don't we do this? Let's take the scheduling offline because,
I will commit to scheduling a work session. I will do that. I will commit to scheduling a work session. I'll get with Mike in the next 2 weeks or so. It's probably going to be early next week to start working on it, and then I'll schedule a work session with you and Brian before the 17th. That's what I'll commit to do, so that when we
so
come out,
are you going to meet with the finance committee
I will
before our
make-
work section?
yes.
Or is that going to be all
I'm
encompassing?
thinking I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to try to make it all encompassing.
Okay,
To make it easy, what I want to do is to make it easy. So what I'll do, Brian, what I'll do is I will, between B and C under number, excuse me one second. Between B and C under section 2, I'm going to add in a board work session between it's going to fall between the 31st and the whatchamacallit, and the 17th. So I'll just add a line that says board work session, board finance committee work session.
I can squeeze a time in August the 8th or
Okay.
next week, so.
Okay. All right. I'll just add this to our timeline, but I'm not trying to be difficult. What I don't want to see is us doing is scrambling around with this in November. That's my point.
okay. So
We need to
yeah,
get it
let's,
done.
let's schedule,
I'll get it
so
scheduled.
I don't want to take any more time, but
Okay.
we'll work on coordinating schedules and, get that scheduled.
So Brian, am I updating this and sending this back to you?
Yes,
in
please.
minutes? Okay, I'll get that taken care of.
Okay.
And that wasn't when I was writing this. When I was writing this, I was trying to get the high level points. It was not I knew at some point we were going to have to fill in the blanks. It was designed to be high level with the targets, the milestones that we needed to meet. Okay.
I understand.
Thank you.
So we good? Are we good with this? Just so I'm clear.
Oh, yeah, I'm
All right.
good with,
All
us having a work session, so,
But are you good with the entire? What I'm saying, are you good with the entire timeline?
tentatively, yes. Until we have the work session, I can't give you a firm answer on that, so tentatively, I will go along with,
right.
the timeline.
All right. I think that's fair.
Anything else on this before I move on? Hearing none. The last item for the board actions is illegal dumping stormwater drain, and that is Brian.
Right. So the last meeting, I was instructed to reach out to landscaping committee, and they received the email. They looked into it, and they actually sent back their recommendation. According to Charles County, the landscaping committee provided some information based upon Charles County's regulations and statutes of illicit dumping within the storm water drainage system. And the recommendation is, the landscaping committee's recommendation is to send, actually to insert some sort of verbiage within the monthly or quarterly newsletter, just letting homeowners know that it is illegal to dump illicit items down the storm water drainage system. And then there's also there is Charles County provides a detection sort of service to where if they do detect a community or a business dumping illegal or illicit items down a storm water, that they can take legal actions. So I propose two things. Actually, I make a motion to move. One is to add the necessary notification to all homeowners about illicit dumping within the storm water system, and then two, to notify the homeowner of such.
I will second to open up for discussion. So I had a question. When I read the recommendation from landscaping, I did not see the piece in there about notifying the homeowner. I thought it was just notifying the community. So can you go into more detail about that? Because I don't remember reading that in the recommendation.
Correct. So landscaping recommendation was to notify the community. I added that second recommendation to actually notify the actual homeowner.
Okay. I don't know if you got into the email or not. I did. I've already started working with the communications committee. The message has been put out in one message. It's going to be put out in the quarterly newsletter. So that is already in the works of notifying the community. I take pause with notifying the homeowner because from the information that I have, we're not sure that this is related to a specific homeowner. From my understanding, the information that I have, it is just in the area of a specific home. And I am not aware of any information that is confirming that it is this specific homeowner that was taking part in this activity. So if there's some more information or background, but I'm hesitant to just go off of an email or someone saying, hey, I think this is happening. From what I saw, there was something about some stains on the ground or something around someone's house, and we cannot be sure that it was that specific homeowner. So unless there is unequivocal proof that it was this specific homeowner, I would not recommend sending a notice to them.
Wait, let me make sure I'm clear. So Brian, your suggestion was to do, can you restate your suggestion? I want to make sure I'm following.
Right. So my suggestion is to send a notification to all homeowners through the quarterly newsletter, and then also send a notification to the specific homeowner that was reported doing illicit dumping.
So did we have pictures, or I mean, what
There was
evidence?
no pictures of the actual
Mm.
dumping.
Mhm.
However, and we can discuss this in executive session, because I don't want to say too much. We can definitely discuss this in executive session. And if need be, I mean.
No, I'm on board with if we
For
got,
whatever way, I mean, if that's fine, I mean, if we just.
I say just
send-
send a general, I just say send a general note that just, kind of spins it. Look,
Okay,
guys, don't dump, and then let's see what happens. And then if we get, concrete evidence as specific people, then we go in another direction.
okay, fair enough.
I think we just do the general thing at first. Reminder.
Sounds
You got
good.
that? You got that, Lashana? We're just gonna do the general reminder.
Okay, no, I was just asking because I wasn't aware of any specific evidence that it was someone specific. So I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
falsely accuse somebody that's going to cause more problems than what it's going to be worth.
Yep.
So we're just moving forward with the general notifications through comms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else on that subject?
None.
Okay. The time now is 8:26. We're gonna allow about 10 minutes for community input. If you have a question or would like to address the board, now is the time for you to raise your electronic hand.
Lashana,
And
I'm sorry. I had one other thing. I'm sorry. I had one other before you go there. Before you go there, yeah, so I wasn't going to say anything, but we're in budget season, so I am going to say it. I often look at the social media posts and look at some of the things, and there's a petition going on around a pool. And I'm all for recreation. I just want to know where everybody knows where I stand. I'm all for recreation. I'm for enhancing amenities. I'm for all of it. But where we sit from a financial perspective right now, I think the board, the three of us have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that we are stable before we even start to even go down that path. I just kind of want folks to I wanted to say it through my financial piece, but I just want folks to kind of understand we got a cash problem here. We have a delinquency problem here. And we have to get that under control as we strive to deliver basic services. That's it. And if we went down that path, people are complaining about their fees going up now. They would drastically go up. That's it, Lashana.
okay. Anything else? Any other comments? Anything else we want to discuss before we move into the community engagement portion? Okay, hearing none, it is 8:28. So at about 8:40, we're gonna cut it off. If you would like to address the board, now is the time to raise your hand. Yolanda Milner.
You want to be on camera?
No. Good evening. This is Robert Milner. I'm Yolanda Milner's husband. I had a question as it concerned the fencing when he was talking about the repairing of the fencing. When you say repairing of the fencing, is that completely getting new fencing, or is just repairing and painting the things that are already broken?
In some cases, it will be a total replacement. In some cases, it would be it'll be a total replacement.
Gotcha.
So we've got to bring them into good repair to mitigate the risk. So we're looking
Okay.
we're looking at about $25,000, give or take.
Okay, I just didn't know if that was
Nope.
just repairing what was done or completely making it like new. Okay.
Kind of a mixed bag. Did I get that right, Brian? I get that right? Got that right.
Yes, that is correct, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I believe Camilla was next.
Hi, good evening, board. Just to follow up question on the fencing. Are you talking about the wooden fences that's at the entrance of the development?
It's,
That, but
it's,
that's because they've been like that for 2 years. So
yeah,
just wondering.
it's all of them. We've got a total of 15 fences, and they're in a variety of conditions, from some
Yeah.
total, yeah. And so what we're trying to do is to be systemic, just like we did when we did the maintenance blitz. This is the last piece to the puzzle. And then what we'll do in 2023 is maintain them. A lot of the disrepair is due to we've got a beaver problem over there. We've got some other issues, but we've got to bring it back to a level of standard, because it was in disrepair.
Yeah. So when do you anticipate? Because it's been that way for 3 years.
So the RFP is with me. And it's on me. And I need to add some comments, and I'll send it back to Brian for final review, and then we'll get it over to Century to bid. We had a bid, and the board decided, due to cost, we want to get some other bids. So let's see. We're gonna strive for September. We'll see.
Okay. And then the wiring fence around the pond area
That's in
and
scope.
That's
All the fences are in scope.
all of the fences.
All of
Okay.
the fences are in scope.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. I'm tracking. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, next we have the Graves.
Good evening, board. This is Kenneth Graves. I just had a question about the forest retention area. I believe Brenda brought it up earlier about some of the trees or the overgrown areas. What's the timeline for potential resolution to issues in those areas?
What specific issue are you talking about? I do know, and I'll defer to Brian, but I just want to make sure I'm understanding. I know that there has been some work in those areas, and we're limited in what we can do with the trees in that area, but are you referring to a specific issue?
Yes, so behind us, there's a tree that is dead and decaying, but it's standing up. So it kind of a potential issue during a storm falling on our house or other neighbors' houses. So just kind of thinking preventative here, what can be done.
Mr. Graves, this is Brian Creighton. Have you sent in a request through the Century portal regarding this particular tree?
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind, would you be able to share your address location in this forum, if it's okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. It's 3794 Sonora Court.
Okay. I'll look into it. We'll look into it, and we will see what we can do about it, and look at the tree.
Thank you.
And next we have Delise Holloman.
Hello, board members. One of my concerns is the pond in the back of my house. And there have been times where I've gone out there and tried to clean up some of the debris. But I'm noticing that the water was depleted and that there's a lot of litter in the water. And I was wondering what we could do about it.
I'm sorry. Yes, Miss. Is it Holman?
Yes, Holloman.
Holloman. What section do you live in? And would you mind, or I'm sorry, did you actually send in a request through the Century portal?
No, I'm sorry, I haven't. But I don't know. I wanted to bring it up, but I can go through the, motion, whatever I need to do, because it is an issue. and as well as the playground area with a lot of the kids, hanging around there and then leaving trash and stuff there as well.
Okay. Would you mind sharing your address in this open forum? If not, I can take it down privately.
Sure. 8839 Bancroft Drive.
8830. And you're referring to the larger pond that's by the
By
pavilion.
the playground. By the kid lot.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and refer this over to the landscaping committee and get their input on this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And at this time, I do not see any more hands that are raised. Going once, going twice. All right.
LaShawna, do I still need to send you the code, or you want for the irrigation, or you good?
I'm good. I sent an email to us at the board.
I know how this works.
So
I
I
opened the
went-
text tonight.
I typed it as you were telling me, or else I was going to forget. So I put it in the subject line and sent it to our email address. So
Right.
we should all have it.
All right, cool.
Okay. The
Thanks,
time
everybody.
is now, I'm sorry.
Nope, nothing.
Okay. Was there anything else? Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw a hand. Deidre, Tool.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just FYI information. I know earlier when Brenda was on, they mentioned that there's a new area being developed. Is that within the Brentwood, Lindell Grove area here? And how would that help in any way if it does with the budget?
It's in sections. It's going to be in Linden Grove. It's going to be down in Linden Grove. And I will, with respect to the budget, with respect to the budget, the more people you have, the more your amenities cost, right? So we're going to be at, by the time this is all over, said and done with, we're going to be at 700 and some homes. And so the more people you have, the more the budget will increase. And so you would think it's the reverse. The more you have, the less your budget should go down, and it doesn't always kind of shake out that way. What I will say to you is we have to get the delinquency under control. There really isn't any fat in the budget, right? It's next year. It's net. It's the way it's structured right now. It's like $3,000 less than what we're spending this year. The reason the fee is going up for next year is because we don't have a surplus, and we want to maintain current levels of services, and I have to accommodate for homeowners who don't remit. So for this year, we planned that 10 homeowners would not remit, and unfortunately, it's a bit more. So as we're planning out FY 2023, we have to increase our allowance. That's unfortunate, but that's.
Is there any room in wherever they're building to ask them to add amenities in that area, or no?
You have to wait. We have to wait till the site plan comes up. And the only thing they're really doing, like down in section 7, they did it's a tot lot back there and some exercise equipment. They've already got their site plans in place, or what their planned amenities are going to be, for the most part. And so as we look at budget, right, and plans for the future direction, those are the considerations. That's one of the reasons why we're doing a community survey. Spin it this way. That's one of the reasons why we're doing a community survey, is to kind of really figure out what people want, and then use that data to influence future budget decisions around, additional facilities, capital improvements, those sorts of things. That's why the board created the 2 new reserves, so that we can start planning, because we knew people want, one thing versus another. Challenge is we have to balance all 3 priorities: keeping current operations and building reserves, and then managing the delinquency rate, which is too high. I'm sorry, that's a long answer to your question.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, I do see one more hand. We have reached our cutoff time of 8:40, so the Graves are going to be the last question for this evening. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. The question is really a follow-up to the previous lady about the new section. Maybe this has been communicated already. Is there another exit entryway plan for that new section?
Um, that that is an explosive topic in our community. There is a plan in the works for a second exit. I am not sure where they are in the plan. I personally have seen some clearing, some progress. It's in the works. Maybe Brian can give some more information on that, specific details. Once we reach a certain number of houses in the community, we are required to have a second exit. The developer has a plan for a second exit. There was some controversy about the location of it, but from my understanding, it is moving forward as planned. So I'll defer to Brian for additional details.
Thank you, LaShawna. The only details that I currently have is what I've actually witnessed driving down Billingsley. So if you leave the community, you take a left and you go down to the four-way stop, you take another left. And as you're going Billingsley going east, just west of the Smecco substation on the north side, they have begun clearing the land, and they put up some tree conservation signs just a few weeks ago. And it appears to be that they're going to be making a road that parallels the power lines going back into the Brentwood community.
Okay, perfect. I've seen that clearing. I was just curious if that's what that was. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, thank you everyone for joining us. The time is 8:42 and we are going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Have a good evening and please tune in to the quarterly meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. Good night.
Good night.